Mortgage stress in retirement. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heise here and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. I thought we'd look at this article about mortgage debt, mortgage stress, for older Australians and the mental health issues, because you'd kind of hope you'd be out of the mortgage by the time you're retired. Some people are having to continue it well into their retired years. Let's have a look at this article. The burden of mortgage debt is leading to mental distress and worsening mental health outcomes for older Australians, who are now often carrying unsustainable mortgage repayments into retirement, a new study has found. It's not encouraging, is it? Particularly with these property prices. Average mortgage debt among older Australians has blown out by 600% since the late 1980s, after accounting for inflation, the study says. And nearly half of all homeowners aged 55 to 64 are still paying off a mortgage, up from just 14% 30 years ago. Well, there you go. These statistics are quite shocking, says Rachel Ong Viforjay, Professor of Economics at Curtin University and lead author of the study for the Australian Housing and Urban Research Institute. More and more older Australians are finding it increasingly difficult to pay off their mortgage debt before they retire. Our research shows that if you are carrying a mortgage debt and having difficulty repaying it in later life, then your mental health is likely to be poorer than someone who does not have this issue. I guess it's good that the research has come to that conclusion, but I can't imagine it would surprise anyone. When you get rid of debt, it's a relief more than anything, and it's just a niggling part of your stress that's constantly there. Beverly Baker, 69, is one of the growing number of Australians still paying off a mortgage in their senior years. She's also chair of the Older Women's Network of New South Wales. In that role, she has met people in their 50s and older who are homeless after relationship breakdowns and others struggling to serve mortgages, and seen it take its toll. But yeah, that could be quite a stressful element, having a mortgage at that age, at 70. At 70. Maybe it's worth just selling and getting out. It's depression, she said. If you ask anybody, they're depressed. There has to be better ideas than this hard mortgage, grab, buy, sell culture that we are in. A home is not an asset. A home is a need. You know you have wants and needs. It's a need. Well, that's the thing. When you're borrowing a mortgage, you're getting money in advance from your future earning capacity. Maybe these people just haven't earned enough in their life to pay it off, or maybe they haven't managed it properly. Or maybe, the housing costs has just been insane due to, I don't know, overheating of the sector throughout all of Australia? Perhaps. So more retirees are stuck renting. I don't know. Would renting be worse than having a mortgage around your neck? I don't think it would. And they'd probably like the retirees in there because they're going to be dependable. They won't destroy the property. You can't see many people in their 70s having wild parties and damaging everything. So, Ahuri's study also points to a sharp rise in the number of older Australians set to be stuck in the private rental market, where they can no longer work because they cannot service mortgage repayments or because they cannot afford to buy a home in the first place. By 2031, it is forecast a 60% rise in the number of people eligible for Commonwealth rent assistance to more than 400,000. Okay, this is a huge problem, guys. This is a huge problem that we're all going to face. If people are reaching this point, how can we deal with it? Do we need to flood the market with cheaper housing? I know. What about those tiny houses? I'm sure a 70-year-old can climb up a ladder to get into bed. I'm sure of it. Yeah, that's not a solution, guys. You can't age in place in one of those things. It's a caravan. So it says there will be a need to rethink housing solutions and provide more public and social housing outside of the traditional private rental market. Miss Baker had to start again in the property market in her 50s after a relationship breakdown. Maybe we need to teach people to kind of work on their relationships and maintain them. Could that possibly be it? maybe I've been watching too much Stephen Molyneux about people complaining and having terrible relationship skills. I remember when Rachel and I got married, we got this stupid DVD from the government to teach us like basic communication. And I just watched it as a joke. I thought it was a piece of comedy. Nope, it was trying to help. I mean, it just shows you how incompetent the government is at these things. It's not really their role. But then again, how many people can role model off good examples these days? It's just going to get worse. I still have 8 years to go on my mortgage, fortunately. I have a job that I love and a board that still likes me and is happy to have me work for them, she said. Well, she's in a good position, but that means she'll be paying off her mortgage till she's 77. I'm surprised they give her a loan that long. Taking on a mortgage at 52 is a difficult ball game. I'm not expected to work until I'm 77, but that's the reality. I have to work until I'm 77. Well, that's probably going to happen for other generations. Frankly, I don't think I'm going to be able to retire. I'm nervous, very nervous, to be so close and run the risk of losing it if I can no longer work. I would hate to see the combination of this, someone in this situation, and we have seen it at Mascot Towers. Some of these elderly people who are bought into, a building that they can no longer safely occupy. That's even worse. Professor OVJ, I'm just going to say that, my apologies, said the study's findings had huge implications for the future Commonwealth budgets. Did it? With a growing share of retirees likely to be relying on the age pension after using their superannuation to pay off mortgage debt when they stop working. Well, there you go. That's the problem. That's the problem. Okay? I would rather have all my superannuation right now and use it to pay down my home loan and not depend on superannuation with all these, overcomplicated tax tricks and methodology people can use. I would rather just personally get it off my mortgage. How many young people could use that money to buy a home and to get into it and pay it off quicker? Because, no matter what returns you get on there, it's up and down. It's in the share market. A good, decent, third of your mortgage paid off or half your mortgage paid off or even all of it paid off in your younger years can save you a lot of compound interest. But no, nanny state needs to take care of us. We can't even manage our own finances. So it's frustrating. Governments can expect that will create quite a lot of pressure in terms of the amount of funds that they will have to divert to the aged pension system, she said. Well, that's also a concern because our population growth isn't keeping up with it, other than immigration. So this is what they're doing. You've got immigration coming in, but is it having the desired effect? It's pushing up housing prices so the boomers can sell out, cash out of the Ponzi scheme quickly. We'll see what happens. When I saw these numbers, I actually felt quite insecure myself. How could a professor be feeling insecure at Curtin University? Are they not paying well? I know QUT didn't pay us proper amounts for tutoring. I felt insecure about my future because, like many other Australians, I'm someone who would be looking at carrying a mortgage debt for quite a long time yet. Housing debt outstrips income growth. They found that the surge in mortgage debt among older Australians has outstripped growth in asset prices and incomes. After inflation, the mortgage debt carried by people aged over 55 in 2015 was up 600% on 1987 levels. Over the period in which mortgage debt blew out by 600%, housing prices tripled. Well, there's the issue. Right there. Is housing prices going up so much? Income growth lagged, even further behind, doubling over the same period. Miss Baker said the equity in her house would not necessarily be enough for her to buy a home in the area she lived in if she had to sell. Yes, I would get a lot more than I paid for it, but that doesn't give me a home, and it doesn't ensure that I could replace my house if I could no longer work and pay the mortgage, Mr. Baker said. Where I live, I would never be able to stay there. To have my friends around me, to have easy access to the train station, I'm 2 minutes from the station. Those are the things that are really important to me as you get older in life. Now, that's an interesting thing, because we looked into that, into providing an opportunity for people to downsize, to, if they had a large enough property, we'd split the blocks and downsize. We build them a smaller house at the front and a big one at the back. And that's an opportunity there to get all the advantages that she's listed, but get out of this mortgage stress. maybe it's something I need to restart again and have a look. So guys, what do you think? What would you suggest? Rachel and I have started doing a thing just every day, another $10 off the mortgage, regardless of what happens. Barely notice it, or don't even notice it at all, to be honest. But just to get into that habit of making extra repayments. I'd suggest everyone gives that a try for a week. You know, another $10 off the credit card and see what happens. Another $10 off the mortgage, see what happens. Just make it a habit. And then, okay, put a bit more off, put a bit more off. Just keep chipping away at it, guys. Cut out some costs. Reduce certain luxuries that you don't need. You know? Anyway, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.